For all you aspiring police officers, today I'm going to give you some advice I wish somebody would have told me before I became a cop. Hey guys, what's going on? Today is my 4th day in a row to be off. It has been so nice. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in another video or not, but they actually changed our schedule to work 10-hour shifts. So now I'm only working 4 days a week, and I ended up taking a vacation day on Thursday. So it's been nice to have these 4 days not to worry about jack. I go back tomorrow, but I don't want to. There's been a lot going on the last 4 days. I've been making candy, I've been making cakes. I went to a party yesterday and I have been unable to video any of it because I could not find my damn GoPro. So what do I find this morning when I dig out this camera? My damn GoPro. I went online the other day and ordered a Super Nintendo with 2 video games. Of course, Mario Kart and Zelda, and I have been playing those things non-stop. If I could figure out how to live stream it and make it into like a drinking game, I would totally do it. So moving on to the video, of all the emails I get every single day, most of them consist of how to become a police officer. 9 out of 10 messages consist of, hey, I've done this in the past, can I still be a cop? Or will this keep me from being a cop? Or what piece of advice would you give to a new cop? So I'd kind of like to make today's video about some of the questions that I get on a daily basis, and I'm going to address what I think are some of the most important points of becoming a cop. And one of the common ones I get are people with disabilities. I've had a lot of people with different disabilities asking me about different roles in law enforcement, and I can't address every single condition in one video, but I'm going to try to hit some of the highlights. The first one I get asked a lot is, can I still become a cop if I am colorblind? I myself am colorblind. Usually the only times that I have problems with colorblindness is at night, especially whenever I'm making a traffic stop. And it's funny because you'll hear me on the radio say either dark or light in color car. Most of the time I can't tell exactly what color it is. I can usually get pretty close, but that's really the only time that my colorblindness has been detrimental. I might sound like a jackass when I say this, but the biggest thing to remember when you guys are getting into law enforcement, just because a certain disability is acceptable under federal law does not necessarily mean that it's going to be safe. Use some common sense, guys. I mean, try to figure out if whatever condition you might have is going to put other people in jeopardy. And you might have to play some scenarios out in your head. This is just, again, one of those areas you have to use some common sense. And you kind of have to take into account and be the bigger person. I mean, yes, I've always wanted to be in law enforcement, but I have this condition. Am I putting other officers at risk because of it? For instance, someone that's hearing impaired might have a hard time hearing somebody sneak up on them on a call. So if you get attacked because you didn't hear this person, now the officers are having to handle the situation, and now they're having to help you out, and it could create more of a risk for the officers on your shift. And honestly, I mean, out of all the conditions out there, I think anything having to do with your senses is going to be the most detrimental, just because you need your eyesight and you need your hearing to be safe on the road. The next few tips aren't in any particular order, they're just kind of scrambled around. The first one is, don't be overly excited. Like, don't be that guy that shows up on the first day, it's like, sir, yes sir. The first red flag for any recruit with me is someone that is way too excited to get a gun and badge. There's a difference in being excited to become a cop and like being overly excited to become a cop. And when I see someone that's way too excited to get a gun and badge, usually in law enforcement we call that a clue. Next piece of advice, don't be a know-it-all. Just because your grandfather's uncle who was married to a cat lady that was related to a cop was a cop doesn't mean you know jack shit about being in law enforcement. I can't tell you how many times I've told some story or something and somebody's like, oh, I know all about that. My brother was a cop. Unless you were sitting in the passenger seat at 3 o'clock in the morning while he was doing reports, no, you don't know what your brother was doing. Next tip, do not disrespect your FTO. Let's say that you and a buddy go through the academy at the exact same time. You guys graduate, you come back to the police department, and a few months pass and you are now on the road training. Your buddy's making all kinds of traffic stops and getting into foot chases and getting all this excitement. Meanwhile, your FTO, who's probably about 60 years old, has a checklist of all these different locations he wants you to take him to show him that you know where you're going. Probably places that you'll never go again. And don't go above the speed limit because he's going to notate that on your daily observation report. Just don't get frustrated with your FTO. You'll have plenty of time for excitement and fun throughout your career. Trust me, enjoy the quiet time while you can, because court gets very old. You're going to sit there for 3 to 6 hours on a hard wooden bench just to have some judge dismiss your entire case. And the messed up part is he didn't even give you a chance to speak. Then you're going to go home and get about an hour of sleep if you're lucky, and then have to do it all over again. So what I'm trying to say is enjoy the downtime while you can. I know it's exciting. I know it's different being in a uniform in a marked car, but try to enjoy some of the downtime, because believe me, once the excitement kicks in, that means more paperwork kicks in and more court time. Oh, sir, you want me to show you where middle of nowhere road is? No problem, sir. I'll be glad to show you where no court for me street is. The next thing to remember is, guys, don't get discouraged when you make low scores on your evaluations when you first start. What sense would it make for a rookie officer on a 1 to 5 scale to be making 5s his first week in training? If you're making 5s the first week, there's something wrong with your FTO. There's so many people that get bent out of shape because they make 2s their first couple of weeks. Even if nothing was going on that week, how can your FTO possibly show your progression through the FTO period if he starts you out with 5s? I'm sorry, I'm not going to give 5s to someone that just got in my car a week ago. Furthermore, what if you have made 5s week 1 through 8, and on week 9 some shit pops off, you suck at whatever happened, and then you score a 2? That shows downward progression. You want to show that upward progression throughout your FTO period. My next piece of advice, be ready to work more than 40 hours a week. I would take into account an extra 20 hours per week, and that's time getting your uniform ready, studying. Your FTO might give you a test every week. It just depends on whatever's going on, but be prepared to work much more than 40 hours a week. And it's not always going to be like that. Like, once you get into the rhythm of things and you learn how to set up your uniform and kind of a time allotment that you need for that, you'll start getting a rhythm going and things will be much more fluid for you. My next piece of advice, be ready to learn how to take control of situations. You don't need to sweat it at first, but be working on taking that command presence whenever you're on a scene. Just keep in the back of your mind that most people that call 911 call the police because they feel they have lost a certain amount of control over a situation. So they're looking up to you to come in, take that control, and resolve whatever issue they're having. So when you get some shy officer that really doesn't know what he's doing and he's not confident that shows up, that's not a very comforting feeling for the person that called for you. And if you're not really like that the first couple weeks, that's fine. Nobody expects you to be perfect when you first hit the road, but it's something that you need to start training yourself over time. I need to learn, when I need to get loud, when I don't need to get loud. You don't need to be a dick all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But don't be that officer that's trying to get information for an investigation and you've got some jackass yelling in your face, telling you what you're going to do, telling you what you're not going to do, and here you are just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. No, put their ass in handcuffs, put them in a car, finish your investigation, and either take them to jail for obstruction or release them. Another part of that is just time. It's going to take time. The more you know what you're capable of doing and what you're not capable of doing, you'll become more confident and you'll have no problem taking over certain situations. That's usually the number one thing I see with new officers, is they are unable to take charge whenever they have opposition. They don't know how to handle people yelling at them. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you're in the heat of the moment and somebody might be bleeding, somebody might be dying, and you have to take control of that situation, you can't do it because Joe Schmo asshole over here is yelling at you and you don't know what to do. Last but not least, do not lie. Let me explain that one. It can be a very easy trap to fall into as a rookie officer, to tell a little white lie. Like when you and your FTO are on your way to the jail, you've got some prisoner in the back and your FTO looks over at you and says, "You did do a full search of them, right?" You're thinking, "Oh shit, no, I just put them in the car." That's a very easy situation to be like, yeah, I searched them. Don't lie and say yes to get a good score. Tell the truth. Always tell the truth. Chances are your FTO already knows the answer to that question and he's trying to see if you're going to be truthful about it or not. How much would that suck to get to the jail and you guys take him out of the car and a damn gun falls out of his lap? My recommendation after that would be instant termination, because if you're willing to lie about little things like that, it's only going to build from there, and before you know it, you're going to start lying about big stuff. So whether it helps you or it hurts you, do not lie. Remember that. I used to have a captain with the former department that I worked for, and he called me into his office one day and he asked me a question. He said, "The only reason I called you into my office is because I knew that you were going to be honest the very first time." And that's a reputation you want. That made me feel really good, and I like having that reputation. So learn to own your mistakes. Nobody wants to admit that they're wrong, but the more that you admit to your mistakes and you work on them, people are going to respect you for that. And trust me, as a new officer going into a department full of veterans, you will very quickly earn the reputation of either being a liar or someone that's going to be telling the truth all the time, and you'll be respected 10 times more. Well, that is it for today, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get a video out. I honestly have had no motivation to get a video out these last 3 days. I woke up today full of piss and vinegar, got my coffee flowing through my veins, and wanted to get a video out, so I'm not sure if I'll have a chance the next 4 days. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I hope everybody enjoys their Sunday, and I will see you very, very soon.